Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at installing and dyno testing the GTX Tuner from SCT, available for the 15 to 17 3.5 liter EcoBoost F150, excluding Raptor models. You should be checking out this tuner here if you're looking for a larger touchscreen display tuner that holds a preloaded tune and can hold up to 10 custom tunes while giving you a number of other features to take advantage of with the included windshield mount, so you can touch, display, and read everything that you need to read within arm's reach of the driver's seat. Now, before we jump into all the details that the GTX Tuner has to offer, what do you say we focus on the big key item, the dyno graph? We've got our 16.3.5 strapped down. Let's take a look at the results. So we strapped our 2016 3.5 EcoBoost F150 down to the dyno. Keep in mind, guys, this does have 35-inch tires on it. It's got 93 octane in the tank, bone stock otherwise. We established our baseline run, walked away with 302 horsepower, 339 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels. We then uploaded our preloaded tune from our GTX tuner, modified the parameters to account for the 93 octane fuel, ran it again under the same conditions, and walked away with 306 horsepower, 375 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels, good for peak gains of 4 horsepower and 36 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels. Now, those numbers alone, especially the horsepower, doesn't look like too much, but looking under the curve is where you're gonna see really substantial gains here. Now, under the curve, we're looking at gains of up to 56 horsepower and 35 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels, and those are numbers that are definitely gonna make a difference out on the road. So with a very simple preloaded 93 tune, we can walk away with some pretty impressive numbers, especially under the curve. Now, aside from the dyno graphs here, let's take a look at what's included in the box. Now, right out of the gate, you have the tuner itself. It's about a 5-inch display, full touchscreen LCD color display, super responsive, very easy to use. I would say it's almost as responsive as smartphones nowadays, which makes it really, really good to have and use on a daily basis. Aside from that, you get your OBD2 module included in the kit, along with the little plug. There are a couple of extra wires included that you don't normally get with a traditional handheld tuner, but it is still very easy to use. You're also gonna get the suction cup windshield mount that you'll see when we start uploading and playing with the device itself inside the truck. That's great for guys who want to track and monitor and use all of the features of the GTX every day on the fly, which, let's be honest, if you're checking out this GTX, you're gonna be using that gauge and the data log screen that we'll take a look at later on. Now, we are gonna focus on the preloaded tune included in the kit. If you want to use a custom tune, you can take this tuner itself to a tuner of your choice and load up to 10 custom tune files on the device at any time. So it does have custom tune capabilities, but out of the box, it's just that preloaded. Now, the preloaded tune does allow you to customize it a little bit to your liking and to your specific truck. Now, one of the big customizations you'll want to focus on is the fuel octane, changing it from stock to 87, 91, or 93 pump gas. Now, as of right now, E85 and those higher octane fuels are not available on the device itself, but you can communicate that with a custom tuner if you'd like. Now, we're going to focus on that 93 tune as you saw from our dyno graph. You can also change things like speed limiter, rev limiter, but one thing you cannot change, which is really my only gripe, is that you can't change your tire size. As you see, we have 35-inch tires on this truck, which we're not able to specify in the preloaded tune, but it is something you can take care of in a custom. Now, aside from that, you're also getting the DTC code reader. Anytime the check engine light comes on, plug this guy in, read the code, get the description, and you can clear it right on the device. You also get the gauges and data log screen, which again, I think is really going to be the biggest seller point of the GTX. Given that you have this larger touchscreen device that you can display on the given windshield mount, you'll be able to look at things like boost in PSI, coolant temp, intake temp, air-fuel ratio, different sensor banks, so many options. As a matter of fact, you can track up to 12 different options at once with the many different gauge layouts that we'll take a look at in this video. So huge point there. You can also record your data log, see the engine's performance, and if you're using a custom tuner, you can communicate that back to them for revisions. Aside from that, you're also going to get Wi-Fi access, so you can connect to a local Wi-Fi network and perform routine software updates or firmware updates that SCT often puts out to make sure your device is running up to the standard. Aside from that, you'll also get vehicle and device settings you can take a look at, your VIN number, ECU strategy code, software version right on the device too. Now, because this is a larger touchscreen unit, you are going to see a slightly higher price tag than your traditional handheld tuner. This one's coming in right around $600. Now, the install, I'm going to give 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle this in the driveway at home with about 30 minutes from start to finish, and you don't need any hand tools. Everything you need is included in the kit. I'm going to show you how to use all of it, so what do you say we get started? First step of the install, grab your GTX tuner and hook up the magnetic strip attached to your module here, which is going to go right on the back. It pops right into place. It's got a pretty strong magnet. On the other end, you're going to plug that in to the module. Coming out of that side is your OBD2 harness. We're gonna plug this guy into the OBD2 located under the driver's side dash. Now, a quick note here, a lot of guys will choose to route the wiring up the center console or the dashboard underneath here, depending on how you want it to be set up. Now, because there's a windshield mount included in the kit, I like to put it up on the left side of our steering wheel, up on the windshield. So again, depending on your preference, you may want to route the wire differently. For now, we're just going to plug it in and I'm going to show you guys how it works, but that's worth keeping in mind. All right, so we're going to plug this guy into the OBD2. And again, if you want to route your wire up through the dash, you can do so now. Now what I'm going to do is take the back of that magnet that we attached to our unit and hook that into our windshield mount. Now it's got a slot here and it just slides right in together. Once you have that slotted into place, you can tighten this guy down. The suction cup is going to go to our windshield. Now, you probably won't ride with it this high, but just so you guys can see what we're doing, I'm going to hook this guy up right at the top here. And you're basically just going to push down on the lever. There you have it. Now you can adjust and tighten the knob as you need. All right, so once you have it plugged in, it'll take you right up to the main menu. Now, it may have you connect to Wi-Fi before you do anything. We've already connected to Wi-Fi, so if you haven't done so already, you can do that now. You can do it from the top left, or from the main menu, you can press updates and go from there. It's always a good idea to update your software too before you move forward, just to make sure you're on the latest software from SCT. So from the main menu, I'm gonna put my key in the ignition and turn the ignition on. First thing we want to jump into is tune. So I'm going to go ahead and select tune from the main menu. Turn the key on, obviously we just did that. So press continue from there. All right, so off the bat, it's going to immediately download tune files available for this specific vehicle once you have it plugged in. It may also begin to save your stock file before jumping into anything. Also, you don't want to unplug the device at all once it's getting toward this step. If you see a loading bar at any point, don't unplug it, don't disconnect it, and don't turn your vehicle off unless prompted to on the device. You don't want to risk corrupting any files. All right, at this point, you want to make sure your key is in the on position and press continue, but don't start your engine. Press continue on the street notice, and that should take you to your tune options. Now, if you are using a custom tune, which is not included in the kit, it'll be available here in the custom tune section. Right out of the box, you have the preloaded tune. So that's what we're going to select and focus on for this video. All right, again, make sure the key is in the on position and press continue. Now at this point, you can select to either customize the tune or just go with the preloaded tune right out of the box. I'm gonna press customize to show you guys what that looks like. From here, you can monitor, change fuel octane, intake error box. If you have an aftermarket quarter intake, you can change speed limiter, rev limiter, idle speed. Now, a lot of that we're gonna keep the same, but what we do wanna focus on changing is fuel octane, because we're not running stock fuel, we're running 93 octane fuel. So that's something you wanna select. If you do have an aftermarket air box, you can select that here, but we're bone stock otherwise, so we're gonna press continue. All right, so this is a summary of all of those changes made. Press confirm. At this point, it's essentially compiling the changes that you made into that tune and getting it prepared to upload. All right, at this point, it's writing the tune to the vehicle. It'll save your stock file in that process as well. It's gonna load 0 to 100 maybe a couple of times, so you don't wanna unplug the device again. We'll come back when it's done. All right, at this point, you can see, congratulations, successfully tuned. You can press OK. It'll boot you back to the main menu. And at this point, you can either disconnect the device, but assuming you already have the windshield mount mounted, you're probably gonna keep it where it is. Now, I wanna take you through some of the other features of the device that you can use within arm's reach where it's mounted. All right, so aside from tuning the vehicle, which can hold the preloaded tune that we just used, or a custom tune if you want to take your truck to a tuner of your choice, you can take advantage of some of the other functions here. Now, gauges is going to be a big one. If you select that guy with your key in the ignition and in the on position, you can track live engine vitals on the fly. Now, what you want to select is the configuration similar to your vehicle. So we're in a 16.3.5. That's the Ford Gas 08 and newer configuration. All right, so we're just gonna go with our default configuration for the data set. Once it connects to the vehicle, it'll go right into the factory or default gauge setting. What we have is one larger gauge on the left and 3 smaller ones on the right. Now the left gauge here is boost in PSI. We have control module voltage, coolant temp, and intake air temp. But you can change those if you'd like. So what I'm actually gonna change here is control module voltage, right? So we can select that guy. Double click. From here, we have a number of options we can change it to. We have air fuel ratio in each of the banks. We can change it to RPM, spark advance, solenoid pressure, speed ratio, transmission gear ratio. What do you say we just do something simple like RPM? You can select that, go back, and it replaces that gauge. Now you can do that for each one of these guys. If we scroll to the right, we have different gauge layouts. So from here we have just 4 options. Here we have 6. Here we have up to 8. Go again, 9. Finally, the full measurement. Now this is something you can track as many as you can fit in this screen. Here we have about 12 in total. That's a lot of parameters you can take a look at, and again, customizable to whatever you want it to look like. Personally, I'm a big fan of that first one. Plain and simple, 4 key things that you want to keep an eye on. I love the fact that we have a big boost gauge on the left, but of course you can swap those out. You can put RPMs in the bigger gauge and boost in the smaller one. It's all personal preference. If you tap once, you can change your brightness. You can even swap the layout on this screen. You can record, so you can record a data log and communicate that back to your tuner. If you're using a custom tune, you can see how your vehicle's performing. You can reset. And then there's data sets, which is your configuration if you'd like to change that. So the gauges screen, really useful for guys who want to track that at all times. It's obviously very easy to use. It's very responsive. Double tap on each one will allow you to change what it actually reads in. You can change its units, its range, you can change it to alert you if it hits a certain boost level. And the single tap there brings it back to the main menu and gives you some of those options. So that's your gauges and data log screen. You can click the home button there. It'll close out gauges and take you right back to the main menu. Another one I want to focus on here is diagnostics. Say the check engine light comes on, you can click diagnostics, read your DTC or diagnostic trouble code. You can get a code, the description, and you can clear it right from there as well. So no need to pick up a different OBD2 module, no need to go to AutoZone or Pep Boys to have them read the code for you. You can do it yourself right in the driveway. Functions, I'm going to tap on that guy, turn the key on. Special vehicle functions are things most people will not touch. There's cam reset and crank relearn. Most of the time, if you're occasionally putting the vehicle back to stock, you may need to do a crank or cam relearn, and that's where you can find the functions. Now, information will give you vehicle and device options. Now, vehicle information will be things like VIN number, ECU strategy code, things that you would need to know in order to request new custom tunes. So device info would be things like device serial number, software version, firmware version, if there's an update available, you can be able to figure out what your versions are directly on the device there. Last but not least, we have updates. Now, updates is pretty self-explanatory. Anytime there's a new software update from SCT, you can do that wirelessly while connected to Wi-Fi, and you can check your Wi-Fi configuration on the top left there. You can do that wirelessly right on the device, so that's useful. Finally, there's a settings button here. There's general options, audio. There is a small little sound, a little tweet every time that you hit a button. You can turn that on or off or just minimize that. Display, you can do things like brightness, the light sensor, which will help detect day and night modes. Same thing over here, you can change day and night mode. And then finally, we have a couple of other options, connect to Wi-Fi there as well. So in manage files, you can delete or add custom tune files or preloaded tune files. And then finally, you just have some legal options there. So if you hit home, go back to the main menu, that's your GTX device. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up my review and install for the GTX Tuner from SCT, available for the 15 to 17 3.5 EcoBoost F150, excluding the Raptor models. If you wanna pick this guy up, you can do so right here at AmericanTrucks.com.